Imagine two people. Both of them save money every single month from their paychecks. Both of them invest in the same simple index funds that track the overall market. Both of them work normal jobs with normal salaries and normal expenses. From the outside, they look like they're doing the same thing. But one day, something strange happens to one of them. They wake up and check their accounts, and they realize that their money has suddenly started growing faster than their salary. Not because they worked harder. Not because they found some secret investment that nobody else knows about. Not because they got lucky with a stock pick. But because their money reached a very specific number. A number where something invisible happens inside the math. A number where money stops behaving like savings and starts behaving like a machine that builds wealth all by itself. For most people in most markets, that number is around $200,000. 200,000 is not a magic number that applies to everyone in every situation, but it is a useful marker. It is the point where the growth from your investments can start to exceed the money you are able to save from your job. Today I am going to explain why that moment changes everything. I am going to show you what actually happens inside your portfolio when you cross that threshold. I am going to explain why people who understand this simple math can turn $200,000 into $1 million over time, while others who do not understand it stay stuck forever. And the craziest part about all of this is that the shift has nothing to do with motivation. It has nothing to do with hustle or grinding or working harder. It is just math. Simple math that almost nobody explains in school or on financial news. Let us break it down. Most people imagine that investing works like this. You start with a small amount of money. Maybe you have $5,000 or $10,000 saved up. Then every year that money grows a little bit. You add more money from your paycheck. It grows a little more. Year after year, it goes up in a gentle straight line. Like watching grass grow. But real investing does not grow like a straight line. It grows like a snowball rolling down a long hill. At the very top of the hill, the snowball is tiny. You push it with your hand and nothing much happens. It moves a little, but it is still small. You push harder and it rolls a bit further, but it is still mostly just you doing the work. But slowly, as you keep pushing, the snowball gets bigger and bigger. It gains weight and mass. And then something magical happens. It becomes so big and so heavy that gravity takes over. The snowball starts rolling by itself, faster and faster, picking up more snow as it goes. You do not have to push anymore. You just have to guide it a little to keep it on the path. That is exactly what happens when an investment portfolio reaches a certain size. At first, you are pushing the snowball with your savings and your discipline. But later, the snowball starts pushing itself. And for many investors in many markets, that moment begins to happen around $200,000. Let us imagine two different investors to make this concrete. We will call them Investor A and Investor B. Investor A has $40,000 invested in the market. Investor B has $200,000 invested. Let us assume that over time, the market grows at an average rate of about 8% per year. That is a reasonable historical average for a diversified portfolio, though past performance never guarantees future results. In a typical year, Investor A earns about $3,200 from the market. That is nice. It is extra money. But Investor B earns $16,000 from the market in that same year. Now here is where things get really interesting. Most people with normal jobs can realistically save maybe $5,000 or $6,000 per year from their salary. Some save more, some save less, but that is a common range. So when your portfolio is small, when you are Investor A with $40,000, your own savings are doing most of the work. You are the engine. You are pushing the snowball. But once your portfolio reaches $200,000, something fundamental shifts. Now the market is earning more money for you than you can save from your job. Your money is now doing more work than you are. This is the moment when investing stops feeling like a slow grind and starts feeling genuinely powerful. This is the moment when you realize that the machine you built is finally running on its own. But something else happens when you reach this level. Something emotional that catches many people by surprise. When your portfolio is small, say $30,000, a 10% drop in the market means losing $3,000. That hurts. It is not fun to watch. But it is manageable. You can tell yourself that the market will recover, and you probably believe it. But when your portfolio is $250,000, a 10% drop means losing $25,000. That number suddenly feels huge. It feels real. For many people, $25,000 is 6 months of salary. It is a car. It is a year of rent. Even though the percentage loss is exactly the same, the emotional reaction is completely different. And this is where many investors make their biggest mistake. They panic. They sell at the worst possible time. They try to time the market, getting out when it drops and waiting to get back in when it feels safe. But the truth is that the market was never the real problem. The market was just doing what markets always do, going up and down over time. The real problem was their own emotions reacting to the size of the numbers. Studies from major financial institutions have shown something shocking over and over again. The average individual investor earns about 3 to 4% less per year than the actual market return. Not because they pick bad investments. Not because they are stupid or lazy. But because they react emotionally to what the market does. They sell when markets are falling because they are scared. They buy when markets have already risen because they feel confident. They chase headlines and hot tips. They try to predict the future, which is impossible. But the investors who win over long periods of time do something incredibly boring. They simply stay consistent. They keep investing the same amount every month regardless of what the news says. They ignore the short-term noise. And they let time do its work. Before you reach $200,000, your main job as an investor is very simple. Add money. Save consistently. Invest regularly. Repeat this process over and over. Do not overcomplicate it. A simple index fund that tracks the whole market works perfectly for this phase. You do not need exotic strategies or complicated allocations. You just need to keep pushing the snowball up the hill. But after you cross $200,000, your job changes. Now the important question becomes, how is your money positioned? Because now your portfolio is large enough that small differences in strategy can have big impacts. Asset allocation starts to matter more. Diversification across different types of investments becomes important. Tax strategy starts to have real consequences. Risk management becomes something you actually need to think about. Your role shifts from being a builder who adds bricks to the wall to being a manager who makes sure the wall stays strong and balanced. Let us imagine two investors again. Both have $220,000 invested. Investor 1 puts everything into one single market, maybe just as stocks. Investor 2 spreads the money across different things. Some in as stocks. Some in international stocks. Some in bonds. Some in real estate. Now imagine that the market has a bad year and falls by 20%. Investor 1 loses $44,000. That is painful. Investor 2, because they are diversified, might lose only $26,000. Both portfolios fell. Both investors lost money on paper. But one investor kept far more of their wealth during the downturn. And that stability allows them to stay calm. It allows them to keep investing through the bad times instead of panicking and selling. That emotional stability is worth more than any hot stock tip. Here is something that many beginners ignore completely. Taxes. When your portfolio is small, tax efficiency does not matter very much. The difference between a tax-efficient strategy and a careless one might be a few $100s a year. But when your portfolio grows to $200,000 and beyond, tax strategy becomes incredibly important. The difference between investing in a tax-advantaged account and a regular taxable account can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. This is why wealthy investors think carefully about where their assets are held. They think about which accounts grow tax-free. They think about how distributions will be taxed in retirement. They think about strategies like tax loss harvesting. Small changes in tax planning can create massive long-term differences in how much money you actually keep. Crossing $200,000 does not mean you are rich. It does not mean you can stop working or retire early. In many cities, $200,000 is not even enough to buy a house. But it means something much more important than being rich. It means that your portfolio is no longer just a savings account. It is now a wealth-building engine. Before this point, you were pushing the snowball. After this point, the snowball starts rolling by itself. And every year it grows bigger and faster. The growth feeds on itself. The returns generate more returns. The compounding accelerates. This is why the first 100,000 is the hardest, as many wealthy people have said. It takes forever to get there. But after that, things start to move faster. So what should you actually do depending on where you are in your journey? If your portfolio is below $200,000, your focus should be on saving. Increase your savings rate as much as you reasonably can. Automate your investment so you do not have to think about it every month. Keep your strategy simple. A low-cost index fund is perfect. Consistency matters more than complexity at this stage. If you are approaching $200,000, start thinking about structure. Look at your asset allocation and make sure it matches your goals and your risk tolerance. Check your tax strategy. Are you using accounts that give you advantages? Prepare yourself emotionally for larger market swings. The numbers will feel bigger, but your reaction should stay the same. If you have already passed $200,000, your focus becomes protection and optimization. Diversify across different types of investments. Manage your risk so you can sleep at night. Stay disciplined through market ups and downs. Because now your money can grow much faster than before, but it can also lose more if you make emotional mistakes. The biggest mistake people make about money is thinking that wealth is built through lucky investments or brilliant stock picks. But real wealth is built through something much simpler and much more reliable. It is built through time, through consistency, through patience, and through understanding the exact moment when your money starts working harder than you do. That moment often begins around $200,000. Everything before it is preparation. Everything after it is acceleration. The boring years of saving and investing when nothing seems to be happening are actually the most important years. They are the years when you are building the machine that will eventually run on its own. If this video helped you understand investing in a new way, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I break down complex money ideas into simple lessons that anyone can understand, even kids. Because financial knowledge should not be complicated. It should not be locked away in fancy books that nobody reads. The more people understand how money actually works, the more freedom they can build for their future. Thanks for watching. And I will see you in the next video.